everyone, Josh12 back again with another video. Today I have a special video discussing all things comic book related. A couple of days ago I got an interesting comment regarding the popularity of Wonder Woman comics, the success of her solo title, and whether or not it deserves attention in other mediums. Now I personally don't agree with that sentiment, but I can understand the confusion or disinterest in her title, and the fact that the comment was a subjective opinion and personal point of view. However, considering as of this recording, the film Wonder Woman will be released to the general public less than a handful of days, and behind the scenes I personally have been meaning to make more top 5 videos. The stars have aligned in a top 5 list dedicated to the writers of Wonder Woman herself. Yes, the writers that helped shape and design the character, life, adventures, and mythos to what it is today and beyond towards her film franchise debut. And hopefully in the end you can leave this video prepared for the film with new light on her character and which runs to pick up as recommendations. Also, right before we enter the list, please keep in mind there are 75 plus years in the character. Also, like all previous top 5 lists, my top 5 lists are subjective. It's my personal list, my personal thoughts, so of course let me know what your personal top 5 list is of the top 5 Wonder Woman comic book writers. But with that being said, let's get on with the list. In the number 5 spot is comic book writer Brian Azzarello. Yes, creator of the 100 Bullets series, Azzarello has been a published comic book writer since the early 90s, working with publishers DC Comics and their Vertigo imprint, and has worked on titles like Batman, Superman, not to mention their respected villains Lex Luthor and the Joker. However, when DC Comics relaunched their comic titles, Azzarello became the New 52 Wonder Woman writer. Brian Azzarello, with artist Cliff Chang, worked on the title between the years of 2011 through 2014 on issues 1 through 35. Even though the New 52 was a very divisive relaunch by DC, there was a lot of promising titles, and that is no different with Azzarello's run. The Wonder Woman Azzarello run is filled with a lot of great re-engineering of Wonder Woman's heritage, her origin, plus Diana's journey / battles with the Amazonians, Greek gods, and the new gods alike. This run is an action-packed epic with parallels with other great series like Conan the Barbarian and Red Sonja. This iteration is just beautiful, it's badass, it takes no shit from the gods, and is a must-read for newcomers alike. If you'd like to check it out, please go and check out the collective books, the trade paperbacks, volumes 1 through 6, that are titled as such in order: Blood, Guts, Iron, War, Flesh, and Bones. But moving off of that, let's get on to the 4th spot on this list, which has to go to comic writer and artist Phil Jimenez. Yes, Jimenez has been working closely with both Marvel and DC for years, and has collaborated with comic legends like Grant Morrison. And during the end of the 90s and majority of the mid-2000s, Jimenez worked on Wonder Woman, specifically issues 164 to 188. And Phil Jimenez developed and established at the time a more realistic based and more reality focused Diana, focusing on her diminishing relationships with the Amazonians and most importantly her mother. Also, Jimenez's run focused a lot on Diana's protege and sidekick Donna Troy, her relationships, and of course Diana's partnerships with the Almighty Trinity themselves, Superman and Batman. And of course, as you may or may not know, any team up between her and the Dark Knight himself is already a must on my side of things. But overall, Phil Jimenez's run on the title is great. It's an awesome read for anybody who's looking for a more grounded Diana that still has the heart and the action of its predecessors, and something that's less based on the idea of a goddess amongst mortals, but a wonderful woman with real issues and dimensions. If you'd like to check out his work, you can pick up Wonder Woman Paradise Found, Wonder Woman Paradise Lost, Wonder Woman issue 170 titled A Day in the Life, which is a great interview between Lois Lane and Wonder Woman, and of course the DC specials, The Return of Donna Troy. Moving off of that, let's get into the 3rd spot on this list, which has to go to Gail Simone. If you noticed, so far Gail is the first woman writer added to my list, which is not done on purpose, mind you. Regardless of Wonder Woman's continuous legacy for female empowerment outside of a few here and there aren't really that many female writers that have been given the reins of writing said title. But during the late 2000s, fan favorite Gail Simone of Birds of Prey and Batgirl fame became the new Wonder Woman writer. After the many crossovers and changes of her character, Gail brought Diana back to form during the late 2000s. During issues 14 of 44, Simone's run dominated the end of the decade with a much more relatable, powerful, and adventurous Diana that a lot of other women could really band towards. Not to mention Simone's take is filled with a lot of great, phenomenal swashbuckling adventures, battles with renegade Amazons, and an essential opening arc that rivals that of even the Court of Owls. If you'd like to check out her work, you can also pick up the Wonder Woman graphic novel The Circle and the collective trade paperbacks of her run, if they're still in print of course, which are Ends of the Earth, Rise of the Olympian, War Killer, and Contagion. But moving off of that, let's get into the second spot on this list, which has to go to legend Greg Rucka. Known for his Ani Press books, Queen and Country and Whiteout, not to mention his work with both Marvel and Image Comics respectively, since the 2000s, Rucka has been a major staple in DC Comics lore, working heavily on the Trinity, crossover events, and the co-creation of Gotham Central. But between the years of 2003 and 2006, following the success he gained from the Wonder Woman graphic novel, which of course saw, excuse me if I butcher the name, Wonder Woman the Hakitia, Rucka began his run on her title. And like a majority of the writers on this list, Rucka's run is legendary for its interpretation on Diana's character through adventures and battles with obviously her family, partners, and creatures of Greek myth. Rucka's take on the title was well-rounded, solid. It's just a solid run on Wonder Woman's persona, her ideologies, and the outside world's view on her as a hero. Greg Rucka is just a major part of her mythos like the rest, and continues to this day write for her character since the DC Rebirth launch with his writer-artist team-up, Nicola Scott. To check out Greg Rucka's work, you can pick up Wonder Woman the Hakitia, issues 195 to 226, or in their respective collective trade paperbacks, which are far too long for me to mention in this video, but if you do a little research, I'm sure you'll find them. And of course, the current incarnation, which is the Rebirth line. Now that that's all taken care of, let's get into some honorable mentions. Yes, some legendary, awesome comic book writers that have taken the reins of the Wonder Woman title, but just didn't get this onto this list, but are still great for mentions. Which is, of course, the creator of the Wonder Woman character, William Moulton Marston, Superman legend, John Byrne, William Messner, Grant Morrison, Paul Dini, J. Michael Straczynski, Trina Robbins, and Joe Thompson. But now that that's finally done, let's get on to my number one pick. The number one, in my personal and subjective opinion, and on this list, what I consider to be the top Wonder Woman comic book writer, which is and continues to be George Perez. Yes, George Perez, the man himself, has been a part of the comic book industry since the 70s and working very closely with both Marvel and DC Comics. Titles like New Teen Titans, Avengers, and Superman. Also events such as the Infinity Gauntlet and Crisis on Infinite Earths. And in the end of the late 1980s, it was just a really great time period and era for DC Comics, especially in the revamping of their major titles like Batman. And in this time period, George Perez signed on to make the definitive, and of course my personal favorite, template of Wonder Woman comics. He just created just the perfect template of what she would later become, her universe and her characters that surrounded her world. And a lot like Frank Miller and John Byrne, completely revitalized the series for decades to come, that completely transcends the medium of comic books onto cartoons, TV shows, and movies. Perez's run in DC is something that I will always love since I got the original first printings way back when. To pick up his work, you can check out the Wonder Woman-centric DC crossover miniseries War of Gods, the Wonder Woman collective Gods and Mortals, or the George Perez DC Omnibus. But with that being said, that's pretty much my list of the top 5 comic book writers of Wonder Woman. Of course, if you're a person like the commenter who left that comment towards me, which was not a terrible comment, I thought it was an interesting one that definitely gave purpose to this video, which is, if you're a person like that specific commenter, then you should know that there's so many years put into a character that there has to be a lot of good and reasons as to why that character continued to be. And as I mentioned, there are a lot of amazing writers that signed on to create amazing stories and arcs within this character's history. And hopefully, within the recommendations of this top 5 list, you can come out of this video learning more, or hopefully picking up some books to really get yourself prepped up for the upcoming Gal Gadot DCEU film, Wonder Woman, and having more love for the Amazonian princess that we all have loved for years, even before the film franchise debuted. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what your personal top 5 list is of your favorite, or what you consider to be the best, the top 5 comic book book writers of this character. And that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. That would be really important and it definitely help out the channel. And of course, this has been Josh12. I hope you enjoyed.